There's something magnetic about a woman who no longer seeks validation, who no longer shapes herself to fit into a man's expectations, but instead honors who she is, fully and unapologetically. It's not about beauty or charm or strategy, it's about energy. The truth is, 99% of men will chase you, not because you played games, but because you became the woman who no longer waits to be chosen. You became the woman who chose herself first. You don't need to pretend to be someone you're not. You don't need to dim your light to make a man feel comfortable. You don't need to be the cool girl who says nothing bothers her just to be liked. That's the old way. That's the path of shrinking, of people-pleasing, of emotional scarcity. But the moment you step into your truth, the moment you begin to move like your time, your body, your heart are sacred, something shifts. You stop chasing, and when you stop chasing, you become the one who is chased. A woman who is rooted in herself doesn't beg for consistency. She doesn't try to decode silence or justify half effort. She observes. She listens to energy. She doesn't fall for potential. She aligns with reality. When a man sees that you are not afraid to walk away from what doesn't nourish you, he sees a woman who cannot be bought with. Choosing yourself first is not about being selfish. It's about finally understanding that your value does not come from being chosen, approved of, or desired by someone else. It's about waking up to the truth that your worth was never meant to be negotiated in the hands of others. When a woman chooses herself first, everything about her energy shifts. She no longer operates from a place of lack. She no longer waits to be validated. She no longer bends herself into someone else's mold to earn love. She becomes the source of her own stability, her own approval, and her own peace. This kind of self-selection is powerful. It shows up in the small choices, the way she no longer replies to half-hearted messages, the way she says no without over-explaining, the way she lets go of things that no longer grow her, even when they used to mean everything. It shows in the way she carries herself, the calm in her voice, the clarity in her boundaries. She becomes rooted, grounded. She no longer reacts impulsively to every pull on her emotions. Instead, she pauses, reflects, and responds from a place of alignment. That calm is magnetic. That presence draws people in, not because she's trying to, but because she simply is. A woman who chooses herself first is not desperate for attention. She's not craving to be saved or constantly needing someone to complete her. She has already filled her own cup. She enjoys companionship, but she doesn't depend on it for her identity. Her joy doesn't fluctuate with someone else's affection. She doesn't chase what walks away. She blesses it and keeps walking because she knows what she brings and refuses to lose herself proving it to the wrong person. Choosing yourself first also means honoring your emotional truth. It means not silencing your needs to keep the peace. It means being honest about what you want, even if it scares you, even if it costs you someone, because your inner peace is more important than external approval. It's realizing that it's better to be alone in your truth than connected in self-abandonment. That kind of clarity shakes things up. It removes the energy of desperation, and that's when the game changes. Not because you're playing it better, but because you've stopped playing it altogether. Men feel this shift. They sense when a woman has anchored into herself. They sense when she's not trying to impress, perform, or earn her place. And that energy commands respect. It inspires effort. It calls in a different kind of attention, the kind that is genuine, intentional, and real. Choosing yourself first doesn't push love away. It purifies it. It filters out the half-interested, the emotionally unavailable, the ones who only want access without effort. It leaves space for the kind of man who recognizes a woman who knows her worth and isn't afraid to stand in it. Stop chasing. start attracting. There is a subtle but powerful difference between the energy of pursuit and the energy of magnetism. Chasing comes from a place of lack, of fear, of trying to earn something you think you don't already have. It's rooted in anxiety, the belief that if you don't do more, give more, prove more, you'll lose your chance at love. But attracting comes from a different place entirely. It's the energy of stillness, certainty, and wholeness. It's the understanding that what is truly meant for you doesn't need to be forced, convinced, or begged for. It will come toward you because your energy calls it in. A woman who chases often does so unconsciously. She sends the first message, follows up when he doesn't respond, tries to decode mixed signals, adjusts herself to keep his interest. She puts him at the center of her thoughts and decisions without even realizing that she's placing him on a pedestal he hasn't earned. This constant reaching energy drains her spirit and pulls her out of alignment. It teaches the man that he doesn't need to lead, that he can offer less and still receive more. But deep down, she starts to feel the disconnect between what she wants and what she's actually experiencing. The moment she stops chasing, everything shifts. She no longer initiates out of fear. She no longer waits by the phone, hoping for crumbs of attention. She stops molding herself into what she thinks he wants and starts honoring who she truly is. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget because she lives in her truth. She focuses on her growth, her peace, her joy. She becomes magnetic because she no longer makes a man the center of her worth. That energy is powerful. That's what attracts. When she stops chasing, she sends a clear signal to the universe and to every man around her. I am already full. She's not seeking someone to fix her, rescue her, or define her. She invites connection, but only from a place of mutual respect and effort. She's not afraid to walk away from inconsistency. She doesn't need to prove that she's worthy of love. She knows she is, and that knowing radiates through her presence. Men notice, they feel the difference. A woman who is in her feminine energy, not grasping but receiving, becomes unforgettable. She becomes the kind of woman who evokes effort, not by demanding it, but by inspiring it. Her silence becomes more powerful than 1,000 texts. Her calm boundaries speak louder than emotional outbursts. And suddenly, the same men who once offered the bare minimum now feel compelled to rise up, because she is no longer chasing, she is choosing, and what she chooses must match her worth. That's what happens when you stop chasing and start attracting. The right one comes not because you chased harder, but because you finally stood still in your truth. Setting clear boundaries without guilt is one of the most powerful ways a woman honors herself in a relationship. It's a declaration that she knows what she will and won't allow, not because she's trying to control someone, but because she deeply respects her own peace, time, and energy. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are filters to protect what's sacred. When a woman sets boundaries, she's not being difficult or demanding. She's simply communicating the standard she holds herself and others to, and doing so from a place of inner clarity, not emotional reactivity. Many women struggle to set boundaries because they fear being rejected, misunderstood, or called too much. They fear they'll be seen as cold or selfish, but guilt has no place in self-respect. Guilt only shows up when we believe that our needs are an inconvenience to someone else's comfort. And the truth is, if someone can't handle your boundaries, they were never capable of honoring your depth in the first place. When you set a boundary and someone pulls away, that's not loss, it's alignment, it's clarity, it's grace revealing who's truly meant to walk with you. A high-value woman sets her boundaries calmly and confidently. She doesn't explain excessively or beg for understanding. She doesn't shout or manipulate. Her voice may be soft, but her energy is solid. She's not afraid to say no. She's not afraid to pause when things feel off. She listens to her body, her intuition, her inner voice. If something doesn't sit right with her, she doesn't override it to keep the peace, because she knows that peace without truth is just performance, and she's done performing. Boundaries are also not ultimatums. They are not threats designed to punish. They are truths designed to protect. When she says, "I don't engage in disrespect," it's not a demand for perfection, it's a mirror. She's showing others how to treat her by how she treats herself. And when someone crosses that line, she doesn't argue, chase, or beg. She simply steps back, because a boundary without consequence is just a suggestion, and she doesn't live by suggestions. She lives by standards. What makes her so magnetic is not just that she has boundaries, it's that she holds them without guilt. She understands that saying no to what drains her is saying yes to what fills her. She doesn't shrink to be liked or tolerated. She would rather be alone in her truth than surrounded by people who require her to abandon herself. That kind of woman becomes unforgettable, not because she demands love, but because she protects her energy with such grace that only those who truly see her will stay. And when they stay with full presence, because they know they're in the presence of a woman who knows her worth and lives it unapologetically. Being comfortable being alone is not about rejecting love. It's about no longer needing someone else to make you feel whole. It's about standing in your own space, emotionally and spiritually, and knowing that your peace does not depend on anyone else's presence. A woman who is comfortable being alone has done the inner work. She sat with her silence, faced her shadows, and learned how to enjoy her own company. She doesn't rush into relationships to avoid loneliness because she no longer fears being with herself. That kind of energy is magnetic. That kind of woman becomes powerful, not because she doesn't need love, but because she doesn't need to trade herself to get it. When a woman is comfortable alone, her decisions become different. She doesn't settle for half-hearted efforts. She doesn't ignore red flags out of fear of starting over. She doesn't force connections that don't feel right just because she wants to be seen or held. She values her own time and emotional space. That's what changes everything, because now she's not choosing from a place of desperation. She's choosing from a place of alignment. She's not saying, "Please love me." She's saying, "Prove to me that this love is worthy of my energy." And that shift in energy demands a different kind of man. There's a quiet confidence in the way she moves. She's not waiting for someone to save her. She's already saved herself. She's built a life that nourishes her, dreams that excite her, and an identity that stands even when no one is watching. Her solitude is not empty. It's full of depth, creativity, freedom, and clarity. She no longer views being alone as something to escape, but as something to embrace. And that changes how she relates to love, because now love is not a lifeline. It's a bonus. A beautiful addition to a life already grounded in self-worth. Men sense this. They feel the difference between a woman who clings and a woman who chooses. The one who clings needs him to feel enough. The one who chooses already feels whole. That difference changes how he shows up. He doesn't play games or test her limits because he knows she's not afraid to walk away. Her ability to be alone makes her rare. It tells him that if he wants access to her world, he must bring more than charm. He must bring consistency, presence, and real effort. Being comfortable alone doesn't mean you never feel lonely. It means you no longer fear loneliness enough to compromise your self-respect. You understand that solitude is not punishment, it's power. It's in that space where you build your strength, rediscover your voice, and refine your vision. And from that place, you attract, not because you're trying to, but because the light inside you glows so fiercely that it draws in only those who are ready to match your peace with their presence. Attraction is about energy, not strategy. It's not found in scripted words, calculated moves, or manipulative tactics. It's in the unspoken frequency you emit when you walk into a room, in the quiet confidence you carry without needing validation, and in the way you own your presence without trying to prove anything. True attraction isn't something you create through performance. It's something that radiates from your alignment. When a woman is connected to herself, when her energy is grounded in truth rather than fear, people feel it. She doesn't need to chase, convince, or impress. She simply is, and that is more than enough. The problem is, most people are taught to believe that attraction is a game, that you must be aloof, respond after 3 hours, post something to trigger a reaction, or mirror someone's interest instead of leading with your own. But that kind of behavior is rooted in insecurity. It disconnects you from your authentic energy and replaces it with performance. What you attract while pretending will never match what you truly desire. The moment you drop the strategy and return to your truth, you become magnetic, not to everyone, but to the right ones. Energy speaks louder than effort. You can say all the right things, wear the perfect clothes, and show up exactly how you think someone wants you to. But if your energy says, "I don't feel worthy," it will be felt. People are more intuitive than we realize. A man may not consciously articulate it, but he will sense the difference between a woman who's aligned and a woman who's performing. Alignment is powerful. It doesn't seek. It doesn't cling, it doesn't push or pull, it holds steady, invites, and allows. That kind of energy is irresistible. A woman who understands this doesn't waste time trying to manipulate outcomes. She focuses on her own vibration, she heals her wounds, she clears her emotional blocks, she grounds herself in self-love. Her attraction becomes a byproduct of her wholeness. Her energy tells a man, "I don't need you, I choose you." And when a woman leads with choice rather than need, she becomes unforgettable. Her presence becomes a space where others feel safe, inspired, and drawn in, not because she's trying, but because she's aligned with herself. Strategy may win attention, but energy holds it. Anyone can be intrigued by the chase, but staying power comes from authenticity. A man stays not because he was tricked, but because something about her energy speaks to something within him. He feels her softness without neediness, her strength without hardness. He senses that she is emotionally available, yet completely unattached to an outcome. That balance creates a gravitational pull. It doesn't scream or demand, it whispers, and still, it's heard louder than anything else. When a woman embodies the truth that attraction is energetic, not strategic, she unlocks a whole new level of connection. She stops chasing temporary attention and starts attracting lasting intimacy. She no longer relies on tricks, she relies on her essence, and that essence, when it's aligned, becomes the most powerful magnet there is. This speech is a powerful reminder that true feminine magnetism doesn't come from performance, pressure, or pursuit. It comes from presence, alignment, and deep self-worth. When a woman chooses herself first, stops chasing, sets clear boundaries, becomes comfortable being alone, and understands that attraction is energetic, she becomes a force of nature. She no longer seeks love to fill a void. She becomes love in its purest form, and in doing so, she effortlessly draws in the kind of man who sees, respects, and cherishes her. This isn't about manipulation, it's about mastery of self. Because when a woman embodies her value fully, 99% of men don't just chase her, They rise to meet her.